Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we're renting the 1988 movie Demonwarp, so get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. This movie, I understand for you anyway, has been a long anticipated watch.
Yes, I mistakenly watched Demon Wind, not knowing there was a difference. I mean, I quickly caught on, or eventually it was like, no, I don't recognize what's happening. But I did somehow figure out I was watching the wrong movie.
Was that movie good?
No.
On a scale of Demon Warp to Demon Wind, which one was better?
I kind of understood the title Demon Wind more than I understood the title Demon Warp. But Demon Warp had Michelle Bowers, so I'm going to go Demon Warp.
There was some solid boobage in this one. So this is directed by Emmett Alston, who also directed New Year's Evil, which was a good movie, so that doesn't explain this. We have George Kennedy in there, who of course was in Naked Gun. We have Billy Jane, who you have him listed here as being from Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which he is. I enjoyed his work in Just One of the Guys, another fantastic movie. Michelle Bauer makes another appearance. It's almost like you do that on purpose each week. And
honestly, this week I did.
And we have Tara, played by Shannon Kennedy Sullivan, who is George Kennedy's adopted stepdaughter.
That was part of the real life thing. The role.
Oh, okay.
Like she had to get a role too.
To get her on the screen.
She didn't do anything else.
I could see why. Like that does not surprise you. You're not shocking me with that piece of information. All right, let's take a look at the plot for this one. Jack and four of his friends head out to his uncle's cabin where there was recently a mysterious attack. They quickly find out that that's not the only mysterious thing happening in these woods as they fight to survive and escape the woods. That is a succinct and accurate description of this movie, but everything that happens around this to color it in is neither succinct nor direct. The trailer was fine. The trailer was just, here's what your movie's going to be, and then that was the movie.
It was just one long clip.
Yeah.
Like no voiceover, no Demon Warp, just
it was like we were watching the Tonight Show and they were just and one of the stars was on showing part of their movie.
Yeah, and when I first found it, I thought like somebody had just uploaded a clip and called it a trailer, but everything I saw was like, no, this is the actual trailer. So
the posters, on the other hand, are horrific. I don't know who made these posters. The third poster you gave me with like sort of the spaceship attacking Earth and George Kennedy in the middle there with an axe in his hand, looking like the lead singer from a rock band. That one's interesting. It would never entice me to watch this movie, like not in a million years. There's nothing about any of these pictures that would draw me in at all.
I am drawn in by the Vinegar Syndrome cover and the one that you mentioned, only because it's so ridiculous that I feel like I have to watch it. Like I'm falling for the gimmick they're presenting me, and I'm not fighting it. I'm not expecting anything from it.
The Vinegar Syndrome cover looks like they got a 30-day free trial of Adobe Photoshop, and they were on the 29th day and they had to get it done. It's just 8 layers of different pictures from the movie. That's all it is.
Bigfoot looks more like King Kong than Bigfoot in it.
Yeah. Are we going for the rest of the show for reference purposes? We're going with calling him Bigfoot here.
Bigfoot or creature.
Okay. I mean, any one of them's fine. I just, I want to be on the same page because this movie is not on its own same page as it goes along. So we start out right away with what I thought was an Amish man walking through the wilderness with a horse, and something happens. We don't quite know what, but something crashes into the earth, and our preacher goes to look at it, and whatever he sees there causes him to hold his cross up for protection. And then we start our movie. So we know we're in for some sort of outer space adventure. Is what we get the feeling of. Is this is a comet, or this is something that's going to affect
Right.
the world around it, and we're going to have to deal with it, especially if we're Amish.
And prior to that hitting the earth, the preacher's praying. And usually when we get something like this, I feel like there's some meaning attached to the story. So,
Okay.
while not a prayer, in Nightmare on Elm Street, when Nancy's in class, everything the teacher's saying relates to the story. If we interpret the story they're telling us there, we can find parallels. I couldn't draw any parallels from this, and I am by far not a religious person. So of course I had to look this up, but it's from Deuteronomy 20. It's all nonsense.
Deuteronomy. No, you got me saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy.
28:48 and whatever, I'm not even familiar with 28:47.
Right.
But
this is
it basically means if you turn your back on God, life could be very difficult for you. And you might have to depend on those who may not treat you well. And with that generalization of what that prayer means, I would even argue that if someone's threatening you, saying, oh, people aren't going to treat you well if you don't treat me well, that person's not treating you well. So either way, you're going to suffer here.
Listen, since we're in on a Bible talk here, I got some terrible news for you about God. If someone not treating you well because you don't treat them well is a problem for you. So that's how the movie kicks off. So we're led to believe, I guess we're going to get into some sort of sci-fi horror-ish situation here. And now we get into the actual movie. Like we have completely forgotten the opening scene immediately. It has no further relevance anymore at all.
The first time I watched it, I did. Because at one point I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
We get into a scene where a daughter and a father are playing Trivial Pursuit. It's all fun and games. And then a monster attacks, which it throws me off immediately because it is, like we were talking about, it's like a Bigfootish, Sasquatchish looking monster, which in my mind is inconsistent with an alien creature. Like it doesn't, it looks, in comparison to what I'm expecting, it looks organic when it should look alien and foreign.
You wanted consistency?
No,
just
I
did
until
later.
I did initially, and then I realized that was an idea to throw out the window quickly. So Sasquatch attacks and kills the daughter. What does he do? She gets mauled. She basically gets mauled by him.
Yes.
And then we see her body getting dragged across the floor. So just to reassure yourself that monster killed her. Yes, he did.
Now, things that happen in this scene probably only annoy me. But right from the start, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Very, very simple things. But when they're playing the game of Trivial Pursuit, not only are they not playing it properly, the game tokens keep moving places during only a single turn. And not just Bill's, Julie's too. And Bill lands on the pink pie slice or cheese or wedge, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And he already had the pink pie. And I know this because for some reason he can't push it all the way into the token. It was literally sitting on top of the token. And then when he won it a second time, he does the same thing and puts it back on the top of the token instead of putting it in its proper space. So not only do we have terrible edits, inconsistencies in the gameplay, they're not even aware as to what they're supposed to do when they get a question right. So 10 seconds into the second part of the movie, I'm already agitated.
So listen, here's the thing, right? And Jesus, is this going to be a terribly painful in a time kind of way? But the game only came out in '82. This movie came
Yeah.
out in '88. So let's say they were filming it in '87. That means the game's only been around for 5 years. It's completely reasonable to think that perhaps George Kennedy had never played Trivial Pursuit until filming this scene, and that he had no idea how these pie pieces worked or how any of it worked. And that's an insane statement to make at this
Yeah.
point because it's ubiquitous. But at that time, maybe he just, oh, I've heard of this. Sure, I would love to play it. And then that's about as far as his knowledge went.
But somebody on the set should have went, that doesn't look right. But unless they're just like, we got the shot, I don't care, let's get out of here, I'm hungry.
It's not what the instructions say. Oh, whatever, let's go. We got to get the girl mold so we can move forward with this movie.
And the other weird thing was they make Bill kind of goofy. So like he's missing his button, and then he gives like dad joke answers about it, and then his daughter insists upon being able to fix it right now. And the way Bill got up and didn't want her going into her own purse, it was like that's where he stashed the porn that he brought to the cabin when he didn't have a chance to move it to where he wanted. So he quickly hid it in her purse. Like there was no other reason to get up that quickly and prevent her from getting her own purse. And then he doesn't get up like a person. He crawls on all fours as fast as he can away. So, and that's not even commenting on the mismatched socks, but which they point out.
And he explained.
I don't get the goofification of his character unless it's to show you later he's pissed off now.
They didn't do a very good job of explaining, and I don't think they needed to, but they didn't do a very good job of explaining what the situation was in that cabin. Like I got the feeling that he was there by himself and she came up to sort of just visit him for the day, and he's just this old man who's been on his own, and this is just how he's living at this point in his life, and she was there to kind of like get that sort of mom passed away and dad's on his own sort of feeling, and I'm going to clean him up a little bit while I'm here. So some of it made sense. Some of it, you're right. At a certain point, he was acting overly goofy to where maybe he was supposed to be slow or something of that nature.
Yeah. And he also takes shots at the mother.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what the dialogue was, but it was just basically like, yeah, you're a bitch of a mom. like it was that type of attitude and out of nowhere. So I didn't understand the level of backstory we were getting with some things and the complete lack of it with others.
Oh, yeah, no.
Which is the time jump, too.
What time jump?
We went from the 1800s to the 1900s. The Preacher.
You think that was like, you thought that was the...
Yeah. Later they say they've been here for over 100 years.
But okay. So you think the Preacher is encountering it as it... Okay. All right. I gotcha.
Yeah. If we do real time, then this happened like in the 1870s, 1880s.
Okay. So I think one of the things that this movie excels at is not giving you context. I think they may have gone back and rewritten to extract context that was accidentally written into the movie.
Well, that just makes sense. We need to remove that.
No, they'll understand it. So let's just not. We get our Preacher seeing a meteorite. Then our next scene is Sasquatch attacking a girl randomly, as far as we can tell. And the next scene is just a group of people heading out to a cabin in the woods, because why not? They think they're going for a party weekend, with the exception of two of them. Two of them know that they are there to investigate, because this is Jack's Uncle Clem's cabin, and weird things have been happening in the area, and Jack is interested in sort of investigating these weird things. But he hasn't told his friends what he's up to, just his girlfriend. And I don't know why, because I feel like people at that age would have been gung-ho for going to investigate mysteries. In fact, once they're there, they all seem super like into the idea of what they're about to do.
Yes, and that's after finding out that an attack happened in the cabin. Paul, like if I said, "Hey, you want to go in the woods and drink and have some hot dogs on the grill over the weekend," and you said sure, and we rounded up a bunch of people, and when I got there, I was like, "Oh, by the way, people were murdered here, and I need your help to solve the crime," and then go off about like nonsensical things, you're either going to get me help or be pissed that I brought you to a crime scene.
So a little bit yes, a little bit no, because they do make it apparent on the ride up that everybody in the car is aware that where they're headed is some sort of haunted, enchanted place. Like they're all
Right.
clear that at the very least where they're headed is spooky and weird things have happened. The fact that they're heading to the epicenter, they're not aware of that. But they don't just get there like, hey, we're going to a super fun place, and then we get there and it's like, oh, by the way, 95 people have been murdered here in the last year. Why don't you guys get your sleeping bags and let's get set up? But also,
Yeah.
they get there and they're explained that why they're there now. We're here to look into a murder. And we already all know as a group that this place, weird things are happening in this area. The door is smashed in and there is blood and crap on the floor. And the move is for them all to go, we got to clean this place up.
Yeah. And we didn't get a montage.
No.
I was actually expecting a montage.
A clean the montage.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been context.
Like you said, they knew the place that they were going.
Yeah.
And Tom refers to it as Demon Woods.
Right.
And I'm just thinking that's way too close to the title. Was this supposed to be called Demon Woods? And then somebody went, nah, that's not enticing enough. Well, think of something new. And they were like, well, I already got the demon and a W engraved in, or sewn into my baseball cap here. So what's the rest that's going to go? Warp sounds good to me.
Had they called it Demon Woods, at the very least, we would have had the fact that the movie took place in the woods to explain the title. There are no demons in this movie. As far like there's no demons in this movie. And there's no warp in this movie except for our time warp, but it's not really a warp because they're aware of that duration of time. It's not like a sudden thing.
And I would be okay with there not being a demon in the woods because the locals refer to it as Demon Woods.
Right.
They just know something's wrong.
Right.
So they're blaming demons.
Yeah.
So that is okay.
That works.
Demon Warp, no clue.
So obviously everybody's young and impressionable and in some way, shape, or form drunk. And so they agree to all of this investigative stuff. What we do learn quickly, one brief moment of context, is that somebody has brought along with them sort of a gorilla mask to play some pranks on some of the other kids, and it's going to be all fun and games. It's the most like Chekhov's gun ever, showing that mask before we see what's going to happen. Okay, so he's going to put the mask on, and either A, someone's going to mistake him for the monster and shoot him, or B, someone's not going to mistake him for the monster and they're going to get killed by the monster. And sure enough,
only two possibilities.
And sure enough, so Jack explains why we're all here. We're all here because this is Uncle Clem's cabin, and we're investigating what's going on. And what happens next is that George Kennedy shows up again. He shows up on the porch, and he's got a gun, and they don't know who he is, which is fine, because they haven't been to this cabin before. We know in some way he belongs there. They don't know that. So they're talking to him, and Jack sneaks up behind him and disarms him. And we all have a conversation where we find out that I keep calling him George Kennedy because I can't remember what his name was in the movie. Bill. We know that Bill knew Clem, and Clem's been gone, and Bill is there now for revenge for Julie being killed by the monster in front of him. So, all right. So we're starting to set up a plot now. We have a monster. The monster killed Bill's daughter, and now Bill wants revenge on the monster. So he's in the woods hunting the monster. We got ourselves a movie, folks. We don't have ourselves a movie at all, though, because what happens next is that everybody's having fun. We're moving forward in the movie. We're kind of seeing where it's going to go. We're all going to get a bright early start in the morning hunting Sasquatch. And of course, Fred throws on the old gorilla mask to scare the crap out of somebody, and he scares the crap out of Cindy. And Cindy does not like it. But, another friend, Tom, is like, no, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. So while the joke is happening, we hear some noises in the woods, and Fred is banging on the door. I need to get in. But of course, because Fred basically set up a Boy Who Cried Wolf scenario, no one believes that they have to open the door for him. And then it goes quiet. And we find blood on a rock, and Fred is gone. I assumed Fred was dead at this point.
I did too.
Because it did not seem to me that this monster was interested in captives. So, boy, was I friggin' wrong. But at this point, I have Fred written up as dead from head trauma.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
And we also learned that someone has... I don't know what they were going for, but maybe tore the engine out of the truck.
Yes. And so they disabled the truck.
Right.
And they also took surveillance equipment from inside the house when they left.
Yep.
Couple things that were very confusing to me, and I had to go back and just sort it out. I assumed that Fred and Cindy were a couple. Tom is usually the personality in these types of movies that's by himself. So I just made that assumption. And then Tom is the one that brought the mask and goes, "No, the house is wrecked. I don't want to scare the girls anymore." The right thing to do. Especially getting the story from Bill that his own daughter was dragged out of the house.
Out of that specific house.
Yes. So the fact that Fred still thinks this is a good idea is insane. Then I'm just, and especially because I'm like, Fred has the option to join his girlfriend in the shower or play a prank on her. And that's what he chooses. But then when she runs out, Tom grabs her, and it's like really, really close, and he's rubbing her arms trying to calm her down. I'm like, she is half naked, and this is weird behavior. But then it was like, no, they're the couple. They're dating, which now makes it even stranger that Fred would go and look into the shower to scare her. So maybe that was his whole thing to begin with. He wanted to catch Cindy in the shower, and he saw his opportunity, and he took it. Now, when Fred knows that something is outside and wants to get back in, we established with the attack with Bill and his daughter that the creature burst through the front door and destroyed it. It was so flimsy. It was one of those interior doors that they were using for the exterior for some reason. But I get it. You need to knock it down. So the gang has replaced it with a makeshift plywood door with a rope and a lever to keep it closed. Fred's trying to get in the house, and he can't with a makeshift plywood door that doesn't fully shut. He can it opens so much, he can put his hand in and turn the lever, but he doesn't do it. And that's confirmed when we see the creature putting his hand through the door so it's big enough to do this, which was just strange. Like, don't make him try to get in the house, and then even then, who locked the door? So as far as I know, there was only one way in and one way out of this place that they
Right.
ever showed us. So how did he get outside and have the door locked so quickly behind him when Jack and Carrie are upstairs? Cindy's in the shower, and Tom's the only one down there. So it'd be weird for Tom to lock Fred out.
So we get to this point in pretty much each show that we do where, and we've just gotten to it much quicker in this particular movie, we're putting more thought into this than the makers did.
Yes.
Entirely way more thought than they did. And it is always to our detriment to do that. But here we are doing it.
It's really it's a snowball rolling down a massive hill. Because once, like the Trivial Pursuit, that set me off.
Right.
To then question
now everything's got to be picked apart.
Single thing I saw, because they started me up early. So, in other movies, I probably was like, okay, but what else have they done wrong? I'll let this one slide.
Right.
But no.
So now that we're all under the impression that Fred's dead, we go back in the house, get some guns, kind of sort of barricade ourselves, but the creature is coming through the door. Slowly this time, like not super aggressively, but definitely coming in. Creature comes in and we shoot it a little bit, and it doesn't kill it, obviously. And it's knocking everybody around. So Tom gets his neck snapped and is left for dead. Jack sort of regathers and goes to shoot, but for some reason he can't shoot the monster. And it's not that like he doesn't have a line of sight. It's not that the monster's not staying still. It's that there's some internal hesitation that he can't do it.
Yes.
He's got some kind of mental block here. And we're not given any context on this at the time, but I think this is one of those things actually by the end of the movie that we're roughly given some context about.
Yes.
Very roughly. And you got to piece it together yourself, but there's at least enough crumbs there that you can understand what happened. So then the creature grabs the surveillance equipment and leaves, which is another interesting thing that's happening in this movie later on that we can get to. The monster didn't feel like killing everyone for some reason.
No,
just Tom.
That's just Tom.
Just there for Tom and his feathered hair.
With the first attack with Bill and Julie, he takes Julie away, even though it looks like she's dead. Here he just kills Tom and moves on.
Right.
And we've assumed he's taken Fred somewhere.
Right.
Or at least the body,
Yeah, he's just disposed of the body.
It's not consistent behavior. One thing when Bill left after Jack went out and disarmed him, Jack is going back into the cabin and he starts spinning his handgun like he's a cowboy.
Right.
And then when he catches it, the barrel's pointing up towards him, and that's just how he continues to hold it as he walks away.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was this scene when Jack fell asleep, but there's a couple of times throughout the movie where Jack has the barrel of a gun pointed at himself or someone that he shouldn't, while he's holding them and sleeping or on guard or just holding it in general. So it's if you're looking for gun safety tips, this is not the movie.
This is not it. Well, this is an 80s movie.
Yeah.
It was never going to be it. But what we do have now is we now have this monster twice at two different times at this cabin killing people. And we have no reference to the Amish guy. We have no reference to the meteor or spaceship. No reference to anything that happened prior to the opening credits. Just some sort of creature in the woods that's gone crazy, killing particular people, and more importantly, stealing electronics.
Yes.
My assumption after he took the surveillance equipment was that he took the distributor cap from the Jeep. Like, it was all about stealing electronics, which is really weird for Bigfoot to want to do. But here we are.
Maybe he's opening up a Radio Shack.
Perhaps.
You know, yeah.
Can't make it to town, so I'm just going to rip apart your Jeep here.
One weird thing that happened, and I did not understand it the first time I saw the movie, but when I went back and watched it again, then I understood why he did what he did, and we saw what we saw. Jack is sleeping on guard, and the girls are sleeping around him. He hears a noise upstairs. Upstairs is where they took Tom's body, you know, so they don't have to see him.
Right.
Jack goes up the stairs, goes into a bedroom, and shines his flashlight into the room, and there's no one in it.
No Tom.
Not Tom, because I don't think we got a shot of seeing them lay Tom in the bed. That would have been very helpful.
Right.
But it, you know, so we got this weird shot that makes no sense to us. So if Tom's body is not there and Jack hears a noise upstairs, where did Tom go?
I have a better question, but it's the same question. If I took my dead friend and put him in a room, and a few minutes later I went into that room and my dead friend was no longer in that room, regardless of if I heard a noise or not, we're not staying there. There are so many we're not staying there's in this movie. It's unbelievable. But the one where I laid a comatose body somewhere and came back shortly thereafter and it was just not there anymore, that would be a problem for me. I don't care what kind of tough cowboy shit I'm up to or how good I could spin a gun on my finger. We're leaving. Why are we leaving? Because my dead friend disappeared. What do you mean he disappeared? You go upstairs. There's no one in the room. Let's leave.
That's a more practical and realistic life approach to that, where I was upset by the writing.
I mean,
I fully agree. Yours conquers mine here, as far as a valid complaint is about their behavior.
We're of like minds either way, but yeah, I don't. Yeah. I feel like disappearing bodies are a real big red flag for me these days.
Oh, I honestly didn't even think of that, because I'm like, where the fuck he go? He can't. Did he climb out the window? Because you can't. If he woke up and heard a noise at the door, and then goes and checks on him, now it makes sense. We can assume he's left while they were sleeping. But no.
So now that we've gotten 3 attacks from Sasquatch, we have to get some girls in a Jeep. And so we cut away to some girls that we don't know in a Jeep driving through the woods. And they're going to go have a picnic in a secret garden wearing bikinis, which is fine because it's the 80s and we know where this is headed to.
And which was a tip from Betsy's nose-picking ex-boyfriend.
So they get to their little secret garden, and unfortunately, someone else has already been there, but they're still going to hang around and, get a tan, because why not? I mean, it's fine. They don't know what's going on. They apparently aren't afraid of these demon woods, so they're going to just lay out and get a tan. While they're laying out, showing off their breasts, the creature comes by and attacks. And the creature grabs Tara and kills Tara. We only know their names because we researched, but kills Tara.
Yes, yeah. I don't think they refer to them at all.
No. I think you hear Betsy yell Tara's name in all the commotion, but it's like right. It's under all the other sound. So I was like, who's Kara? I don't know. Oh, this must be Tara then. Okay, fine. Tara gets decapitated by the monster, and her head just gets tossed off to the side while Betsy's running back to the Jeep. She doesn't have any keys. Now Betsy's loose in the woods. So now we have 3 attacks from the monster in the woods. And we have a monster in the woods movie. Good, bad, or indifferent. I understand a monster in the woods movie. Yep. It's not that difficult to understand. I figure like the rest of the movie now we're trying to find out who the monster is, as far as like, is it really a monster? Is it a local townsperson in an outfit trying to shake off the visitor, the shoobies? We don't know.
Yeah, They need to buy the land, so they're driving the price of the
Right.
land down.
they
So
they
as
want to
long as
they
the
want to build
dog
some
and his friends
condos.
doesn't come by. Yeah.
they want
I was very happy to see a bag of groceries that didn't have green sticking out the top, and I understood what I was seeing. I recognized it instantly as a bag of groceries.
Well, yeah, because they were headed to go collect greens, weren't they? They were going to go harvest, weren't they?
Oh yeah, okay. That was yeah.
They,
I was gonna say the top.
they
That
hadn't got.
makes sense.
You don't bring sand to the beach, Russ.
I'm not gonna say what my first favorite part was, but my second favorite part was um
third favorite part. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, when they're laying down, they've got their eyes shut for some reason, even though they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
And they're not even in like sleeping, relaxed positions, like Michelle's on her side, kind of. And we hear Tara say, "Hey, while you're up, grab me another beer." And she goes, "We're out of beer, and I'm not up." So the Tara mistook the person next to her as Betsy, who was walking there, which was the our Bigfoot creature character.
Right.
So that was pretty funny. And it was funny to the point where I didn't even care that Tara should have recognized that the person laying less than 6 inches away from her hasn't moved, plus her voice is coming from the ground. So I like the writing there was a good joke.
So we see Betsy in peril, and we cut away, and we have a hiker out in the woods. They throw random people into this movie with an utter lack of context that's just superb.
Yes.
So the hiker's out there, and they hear wolves growling. I mean, it's not an unnatural sound, but it is the kind of sound that would make you concerned. So
it sounds aggressive at the least, but you're not going to jump to Bigfoot.
No, it's a bear or it's a wolf. It's something I need to be aware of, but it's not extraterrestrial in any kind of way.
Yes.
So the hiker's hiking, and someone or something throws something at them. So they take off all their gear to look around, and then the next thing that gets thrown at them is a hand, which I enjoyed that particular part of this movie way more than I should have. That he got hit by a rock, and then somebody threw a hand with a wrist attached to it to get my attention. Once he gets hit with the hand, now the creature's out, and the hiker's running away. And as the hiker's running away, he passes someone. And again, no context. Just a person who, if I didn't know any better, and I don't at this point, I would think they belonged on a set from a different movie because they looked like a zombie traipsing through the woods. And I'm not familiar with the fact that we're watching a zombie movie in any meaningful way whatsoever. I just see a zombie walking by while the hiker's going the other way. The hiker stumbles. There's more body parts like strewn about everywhere. And here comes the creature. And we had already seen earlier that there's bear traps all around in the woods. And we find out that it's Bill who's been laying these traps around. Bill's really dead set on catching this creature. The hiker's arm gets snapped into one of the bear traps. And the monster is struggling with him for a little bit, and then the monster decides to get a stick and stab him in the stomach, and then start stirring the stick around for effect, which I halfway enjoyed this kill, probably the best kill in the movie for me, because they really give you a pretty good struggle. And then the way that the creature decides to do this in comparison to the other kills is so weirdly incorrect, like just weirdly out of character for a creature that's attacking in the woods.
Right, and I agree it is out of character, but I think that's why it works here. This was also my favorite kill scene. By doing that stirring motion, it tells us he's just not all brute. Like he's capable of thought.
Finesse.
It's not rage, barge through a door, knock someone out, drag them with you. He is aware of what he's doing, and how he's doing it. So then even if we just want to think the truck and the surveillance equipment is random, it's no, he's capable of logical thought and planning.
Right, which we already was hinted at when he stole the electronics equipment.
Yes.
Like he obviously has a mission, which means he's got some sort of forethought. But also the zombie. Just
the zombie whose eyes were like white. At first I thought it was Fred.
okay.
I thought it was like a bloodied Fred, but then, once you see it, I'm like, no, that's just something different. And to make it even more confusing than just how confusing it is to see a zombie, it was even more perplexing that the zombie wanted nothing to do with the hiker.
No.
It was just the hiker was in his way, and the zombie wanted to get by. And they do make it a point early on in the movie to talk about there's ghosts, there's UFOs, there's monsters, there's this, there's that. So they're telling us in advance, don't question what you see. It's going to be a hodgepodge of craziness.
We're throwing it all against the wall. Let's see what happens.
So hopefully you like it, But the other problem that this presents is that Betsy screamed.
Yeah.
And this is real time. This isn't much later in the day, based on Betsy's actions, which, like when she's kind of out of it and she comes to, and she's like, oh, okay, I need to put my shirt on. I need to do this. She becomes more aware. She's not that far off from where the hiker is, because Bigfoot's already at the hiker.
Right.
So how that guy didn't hear it is weird. And then we also find out soon Betsy and the hiker, well, if we know Betsy is, then the hiker was too, is also near our other group of characters. So how did they not hear any of this? It was really confusing, and especially you have this vast wilderness and all the people that we know are in the woods at the same time are all in the same area at once. So I feel like just based on, the logistics of the layout, they should be all spread out more than they are.
You would think, but again,
yes,
you thought, and that was your mistake.
I know. But we do, if we're counting bodies up to this point, our hiker is our fourth victim. And, assuming that we know that Fred is not dead, the hiker is the fourth victim. But there's also a lot of other body parts or bodies. We have the one zombie walking in the woods. We have the hand thrown. We have the body with the flesh removed, but the fairly clean pink shirt. So I don't know how that happened.
Maybe they dressed her afterwards.
At least 5 other bodies that I could tell were different or body parts that, you can't have 2 skulls. So every skull you see has to be a different person.
Right. Which is fine. That plays into what they were talking about on the way up to the woods, that a lot of terrible things have happened. A lot of unsolved terrible things have happened here. Now,
and
by the
we
same,
also see dynamite with the pile of bodies.
Yeah. By the same token, though, it's a lot of unsolved mysteries, but these people inadvertently stumbled onto piles of human remains. I feel like the cops could have come across some of those human remains if they were looking into this at all.
I feel like this pile is not Bigfoot, it's Bill. Because we have the bear trap right next to it, and we also have the dynamite. So I think he was finding body parts and thinking, oh, he might want these or do something with them. So if I put them all in one area, he's more likely to come into this area and step on the trap or cause the dynamite to explode.
So you're not saying Bill was killing these people. You're saying Bill was using their remains as bait.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bill, he pops up again, and now he's wearing Tom's watch, which is a wild idea. But he says he found it by the camp. And this is where he explains that he's been setting bear traps and he's he's going to get this thing that killed Julie if it's the last thing he ever does. And this is where Jack finally mentions that Tom's body was gone. So someone either took it or it got up and left. Once again, in 5.5 minutes time. And no one seemed to care. Bill has put it together like we have, that this creature isn't just there to kill. There's something else going on that Bill hasn't quite put his hands on. Now, my question on that is, our hiker, I have him written down as the camera guy, but our hiker is running through the woods being chased by the creature and randomly passes by a zombie. Has Bill not seen any zombies at all this entire time he's been on his stakeout?
Oh, I'm surprised that even the hiker saw it, because later in the movie, Jack seems incapable of seeing them when they're surrounding him in the cave. So I think maybe the zombies just camouflage weirdly into the background for some reason.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but it would be consistent with the other characters' inability to see shit.
So while we're talking to Bill, we get Betsy. Betsy gets to the group. So Betsy has found some humans that are going to help her survive. Fingers crossed. And Betsy's banged up, so Jack goes to get a first aid kit in the tent where the creature already was. And Cindy stabs the crap out of the monster, and this does nothing to the monster. This angers the monster. So the creature knocks everybody out again, except Bill. And Bill's trying to trick him into getting into one of the bear traps, but the monster's too smart for that. Grabs Bill, smashes his head into a rock over and over again until he's finally dead. And then Jack comes to after getting knocked out by the monster, and the girls are gone. Friggin' Jack.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets knocked out one more time, he's going to be Merrill Hodge. So the weird thing about the watch is, I mean, I understand they put it there so there could be distrust again, even though there's already been distrust and then everybody got along. We don't need that, especially if you're going into the woods to hunt your daughter's killer and you're setting up all these traps. You would have brought your own watch with you. Like, this would be something you already have. Sure. It's not like my watch broke, so I was happy when I found it. It's just a weird thing to latch onto or go through this again. We don't need it.
The only purpose that it serves, or at least the only purpose that pointing it out serves, is to give Jack an opportunity to say that Tom's body was gone. Yeah. And I really, truly feel like they had a golden opportunity to discuss that much earlier in the movie.
When it first happened.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought was odd here is like, what's Bigfoot doing here? Like, oh, there's all the people. I hope to kill some. I'm just gonna go in the tent and wait for one to come in, like, because then you're cornered. Like you know, like there's maybe only one entry point, so you only have to defend that one spot, and they can't come at you from all angles. But I just don't understand why this Bigfoot, with the thought we've seen him be able to have, as far as how he handles himself, why is he going to hide in the tent, not just run in, grab one, and run out?
So this is a problem with the lack of context, because we don't know what he's actually trying to accomplish.
Right.
The only thing we know for sure is that he's capable of murder, he's capable of theft, and he seems to avoid killing Jack when he can. And yes. Jack seems to be hesitant to kill him. And that's the only things we know about this monster. It outwits Bill. It kills Bill. It sneak attacks other people. Like, we don't really know, like, for example, why it went after the girls. Like, we understand why it went to the cabin. There was things that it needed at the cabin.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll understand some of the killings, but not the decapitation. The decapitation doesn't make sense. um, because of what we know later. Like
Right.
if he hadn't have decapitated her, it would have been okay. This is just a recruitment spiel, but
Yep.
this is not that. So the monster kind of waffles between slick and monster, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. The terror scene's not consistent with the other kills in the movie at all.
Yeah. So Jack's on the move, and he runs into Cindy, and we can tell that Cindy's not behaving correctly. We only see her from behind initially, and then she turns around and like half of her face has melted, and the eyeball is kind of hanging out, and she's a zombie. So now we're in this weird. Does the Bigfoot zombify you? Like why is she
Yep.
a zombie? What was the other zombie all about? But meanwhile, she's continuing to walk in a certain direction, just determined, like a lemming, just following a scent and walking without any sort of hesitation towards an open cave. Now, I went back and I watched this a couple times, this particular scene, because I was hoping that this cave looked just like the landing at the beginning of the movie. And then I could say, okay,
Oh.
it crashed here, and then whatever they moved, what crashed, and this is the remnants are inside here. It did not. It unfortunately did not. But
No, somebody filled in Andy's pit.
right, finally, after years, Anne is going to be thrilled. So we go into the cave because that's smart to do when you're under attack, and the creature's there, and finally, Jack starts shooting into the creature. And the creature dies-ish. But as the creature's dying, its face starts changing. And it knows to call Jack Jack. And then we find out that it's Uncle Clem. Uncle Clem has been Bigfoot all along. Which brings you back to, for whatever reason, Jack felt that and didn't shoot him at the beginning.
Yeah, the stare off.
Yeah, but didn't feel it now, I suppose, and shot him. So we get Uncle Clem. Finally, we've solved the mystery of Uncle Clem, and he says that they didn't want to hurt him. They don't want to hurt you, and they made him succumb to his injuries. We don't know who they are. We don't know how or why they recruited Uncle Clem. And again, I was hoping that Uncle Clem was the Amish guy, but as you said, that was 100 years ago, so that didn't pan out for me the way I wanted it to either.
And the weird, I'm gonna say the weird. It's all weird. It's kind of like this Bigfoot is acting like a werewolf should in this situation.
Okay.
I don't know of any Bigfoots that get killed and then they turn back into the human that they were before they became a Bigfoot. And I mean, we're calling it Bigfoot. I think the movie refers to it as Bigfoot. So we're just making an assumption that that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I guess it's its own thing. And what I also don't understand is Cindy does so much more damage to it with her knife. I mean, she hops on and stabs and stabs and stabs. Jack puts a couple bullets in, and they're not like, we're not told like they're a silver bullet. There's carvings on this that will cause this to happen. It's not dipped in holy water. They're just normal bullets. Normal in the sense as they almost never run out until they do, and then he has more bullets even after they run out. So they're as normal as they can be in that aspect. So I don't get why all of a sudden two or three bullets is going to put the creature down.
So the only thing I can give you there is, and it's purely speculation, which is a waste of time in this movie, but Jack shot him at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Cindy stabs, or yeah, he gets the crap stabbed out of him, and then Jack shoots him again, and that's just the last straw. Like this is cumulative damage over this period of 24 hours, and finally these bullets are the last. Like this is it. His body can't take any more now. So that's the only way that works. But the melting back into being Uncle Clem, I got nothing for you.
Yeah. So he didn't find like a can of beans or something to get his health points back.
No spinach, no beans, no nothing. So,
and this is also when Clem dies. Jack suddenly realizes there's zombies all around him.
Yeah.
They were just there. There's no way that you could not see them based on where he was, and all of a sudden he's just like, oh yeah.
Right. And so now, obviously, the smart thing for him to do here is to go deeper into this cave, which he does. And there's more disassembled electronics, and there's a head in the middle of the electronics. Now, for a minute, I thought that head was Fred's head. Like, okay, finally, we found out what happened to Fred, but it turns out that was not the case. But it did. It looked like that could have been Fred's head.
Yeah.
So we're now seeing like zombies walking around doing tech repair, which really is a weird vision to have. And for whatever reason, and it's just the little things that make me laugh the most. If you watch while these zombies are doing their tech repair, obviously they're not really doing tech repair. I understand we're on a movie set, but they're faking it. What like the one zombie takes a screwdriver and it never makes contact with anything, and he just starts turning it like we're watching a pantomime of a zombie doing this tech work. Like they couldn't even commit to just like making it look like these zombies were fixing or whatever they were doing. They're just faking it completely, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. And I put a picture in here later. But the interior of the ship, when you look at it closely, it's just spray painted soda bottles. Like they took soda bottles and put them upside down, and because it looks like a 2-liter, and then it looks like it has the screw on top, and they cut them in half and put them there, and then it looks like they took Solo cups or some other type of cup and alternated one up, one down, one up, one down, and then stuck that to the wall. So they literally just went, what do we have around us? And that's what they used.
In your opinion, and it's really just an opinion, we don't have to debate it, upgrade or downgrade from the spray painted lunch trays?
This is a downgrade.
Okay.
But I still, while I'm kind of making fun of it, I still appreciate the effort.
I don't mind the ingenuity.
Yeah. The spray painted lunch trays, although I probably had the same opinion at the time as I do now. They looked around and went, what do we have? Craft services table. I still feel like that might have been planned in advance.
Okay.
Or at least more likely to have been planned in advance than this.
You feel like maybe this might have been day of?
Yeah. This was day of. The other one the inspiration may have hit prior.
Okay.
And, from the same thing, like they're at the craft table and they go, you know what, if we flip these, so yeah, I still think Forbidden Planet was better with that than this.
Okay. So Jack continues to explore the cave, and he hears someone calling for him. And it's Fred. After all this, Fred is alive, and he seems okay-ish. Like, he doesn't seem particularly damaged, which somehow makes sense to me, because it seemed like Fred was the most tech-savvy of the people, and somehow this entire plot revolves around repairing or upgrading tech. So I don't know that it was.
I thought Tom was the one that brought everything.
Well, Fred was the one who was going to set it all up and operate it, though, wasn't he? Like, Tom had it all, but no?
I could be wrong. Yeah.
Okay. But so then at that point, then I got no reason why Fred gets to survive up to this point, except for the part where he gets to be the martyr at the end. However, again, back to being aware of what's happening to you while it's happening to you. I can't trust Fred. I can't trust that that's Fred.
Right.
But Fred tells Jack that...
Especially, you see all the zombies. Well, no, he hasn't seen all the zombies around him yet, so yeah. Okay.
So Fred tells him, don't worry about it. We got Carrie. She's on the craft. That's a lot to, like, be cool with in this few moments. So Fred takes him to the craft, and we got a priest there, and there are the two girls. It's Carrie and Betsy are there, right? Betsy's still there.
Well, we don't see Carrie at first. We're told Carrie's on the craft.
Okay.
But Betsy is the one on the sacrificial table.
Okay.
Up front. Yeah.
And we have a priest. Now, this I thought might have been the Amish priest from the beginning.
This is the priest from the beginning.
So he hasn't aged. For whatever's happening to zombies and monsters and all this other stuff, the priest hasn't aged.
He's kind of turned, like Palpatine a little bit, but he's still, he still looks like the same age he was before, just awful skin.
Right. So he's going to have to sacrifice, obviously, Betsy. Betsy's going to need to be sacrificed to the weird creature that is duct taped to the wall in the corner for some reason.
Yeah. At that point, I'm just like, what the fuck are we looking at here?
I don't know. You don't know. I don't believe that the priest knew, or the guy that was duct taped to the wall.
When I saw the creature, though, I instantly thought of Zorak from Space Ghost.
Space Ghost, Coast to Coast.
On his circular keyboard. Just seemed like that kind of setup.
So we got Betsy. She's on the table. She's about to get sacrificed. But to be perfectly honest, up to this point, we understand why. Like, we can piece it together, but we don't know why sacrifices are necessary or why Betsy's being sacrificed. So what our high priest does in a very polite and helpful manner is says a prayer, which is basically explaining what's happening at this point in the movie, which I thought was very helpful.
It's exactly what my take was. Just like a bunch of exposition disguised as a ritual.
And then I'm going to knife this lady in the chest because the guy over there says I got to do it and I'm under his spell. Amen. And then that's what happens. So
at least we find out the creature's name is Asdrath.
Yeah, I was so happy to learn the creature's name at that point because I felt like that was the thing that was missing for me to bridge the whole movie into one coherent piece of art.
Yeah.
So the priest stabs Betsy in the chest without messing up her breasts, which I appreciate. And then takes the dagger out and feeds the blood to Asdrath. And that's it. That's it for Betsy. Like, she's not coming back.
No, not even as a zombie.
No,
she's just done for. And my take here, the preacher goes on about how Asdrath is Lord, and he just goes on to say how great he is, and that he's his faithful shepherd, and he's just almighty. The way I look at it is he's some con artist that can't fly his spaceship, crashed to Earth, can't even fend for himself, and has to have other people do his bidding while he just sits in his high chair.
Not only can he not fend for himself, seemingly, but we're left with the ability to get the impression that this is all about fixing the ship so that it can return home or whatever the next part of the plan is.
Right.
So he crashed 100 years ago into a planet that didn't remotely have technology that could help him. And rather than impart that knowledge onto people to craft this technology, he just kind of hung around and made zombies for 100 years and waited until Earth technology caught up to his spaceship technology so that he could steal parts from people and install them in his ship. There is just no forethought in this movie at all.
No, because you'd have to just wait around for like electronic stores to,
Yeah.
like, oh, finally a grand opening of Radio Shack in my area. I'll get the parts I need.
Eventually, you guys will learn how capacitors work. I can't wait.
And
you guys heard of this Edison fella?
You just have to hope the people that go to the woods bring this technology with them.
Right.
And on top of it, now that we've established that, this guy says, like, he's been waiting patiently, gathering his strength for his, return journey to home to the stars. So we see that he has to feed off of people.
Right.
And he also enslaves others as zombies. So if you've been killing people at this level for 100 years, how have you not been discovered? Because I think there was like 16 total zombies in the credits. So, and they're all in new clothes.
Right.
So we don't have anybody dressed. We don't have a newsie. Like it's all. It's all current clothes, and one was a little too spot on with the Day of the Dead shirt. Like, I love like little references and everything, but I'm like, do we really need that? But yeah, so my guess is he's only started to make zombies recently, or the zombies just continue to deteriorate, and he's always having to replenish the zombie army. I don't know, but everyone we saw looked like they were just killed within the last 5 years.
But both of those options, while both viable, lead you to huge gaping holes of problems.
Yeah.
If he's only just recently started this, that means he's just been hanging on that wall for 85 years, waiting for his chance to strike, which is ridiculous. If he's been replenishing this wave over and over again, even if it's just a once a year harvest, 20 people die every year for the last 100 years in this 5 square mile radius. People will stop going there at some point.
Yeah. Because it's not even the zombies. It's the people that we saw die.
Right.
It's the body parts all over the forest.
Right.
I mean, like, if we're already counting the zombies as dead, once Betsy's killed, that is the 30-second body bag we need in just what we've seen.
This whole movie only works if they're the last people on Earth. And then if they're the last people on Earth, none of this works. So
right.
They have painted themselves into every single possible corner in this movie. So the zombies were attacking Jack, and they were attacking Fred. And of course, Jack gets knocked out again, and Jack wakes up, and he lets Fred in on the plan. He's got dynamite in his backpack, and he's gonna blow the place up. Which, good thinking. Good thinking.
Yeah.
The zombies grab Jack and Fred, and they take them into the craft. We see Carrie; she's now topless on the table, and the priest kind of like wants Jack to perform the ceremony. And, he says, Jack, you will feed him. And then he says to Fred, you'll serve him. And I think they're both opposed to this idea. The guy didn't even ask nicely.
No.
So whatever happened in the last, couple days, the repairs to the spaceship are finally complete. Which, again, if the repairs to the spaceship are complete, why do we need to sacrifice Carrie? Why don't we just take off? If our ship now works, let's just go.
Food for the journey?
Yeah, they had all the zombies. They had all the everything else.
Yeah.
So Jack breaks free, stabs the priest with the dagger, and kills the priest.
So the priest, when Jack stabs him, I got the inclination that based on the positioning of the two, the angle in which the dagger seems to be getting thrust towards him, even though it's off screen. And I even believe there's a little bit of a noise suggesting that perhaps Jack shoved the dagger up the priest's ass.
Well, listen, if you want to make a statement, that's how you make a statement.
Yeah. At least, I maybe I'm just seeing things, but that's kind of the gist that I got from this. And once the priest dies, the zombies doing the repairs, even though they were already done, they get up and leave. So we're now adding like a hive mind mentality to this. So either they sensed that the priest has died, or Asdrath is sending signals to them.
I would assume it's Asdrath, but I guess at this point it could be the priest.
Oh, and one thing I didn't even complain about. Tom talked as a zombie.
Yeah, and he was snotty.
Yeah. Like, so why can he talk? And when talking, he says things almost like it's a bad impersonation of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
to where
100%.
I looked up what he said.
100%.
Right. So I feel like it's a bad impersonation of Jack Nicholson because he goes, "I feel beautiful, man, And I tried finding it in another movie. I was hoping maybe you'd piece it because earlier Cindy goes, "We're here." So it's a little nod to Poltergeist. So I just felt like this had to be something, and I couldn't figure it out.
I don't know that it's a specific movie reference, but it is 100% a terrible Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah.
Also, again, they like to kick the hole into their own movies. Tom did all of that of his own volition. Tom was commenting as Tom to Jack. Tom wasn't commenting as Asdrath. Tom wasn't speaking as part of the hive. Tom was an individual who could function as an individual while he was a zombie, which then leads me to believe all of the zombies could do this. So why are they doing this work?
Right. And that seems to be more like demon behavior, where demons typically will say things to manipulate you, stuff like that.
Okay.
So not saying it is a demon, but it would make sense if it was somehow a demon, because why not? I mean, why not actually throw an actual demon into this movie?
And maybe a warp.
Yeah, and then we could have the demon warp. But yeah, no, the other zombies should then still be them, because, I keep wanting to call him Mikey. Tom was killed well before Cindy. Cindy was full on zombie, can't talk.
Yeah.
So
she couldn't acknowledge her own existence. She was just zoned out going to the cave. But Tom had shtick. Tom had an entire shtick. Tom was just on his work, and that didn't make any goddamn sense at all within the scope of the movie.
Right, because even if we can go as far to say Asdrath can tap your memories and things like that, he's not going to master his personality in 5 minutes.
No. Also, why has Asdrath not exhibited this before? Bill would have been a prime target for screwing with his mind, and there's no evidence that ever happened.
Yep.
So we get our last fight going. Jack and Fred are fighting off all the zombies. Fred falls right in front of Asdrath, which is convenient since Asdrath isn't mobile. And Asdrath had a stinger that goes into Fred's shoulder.
You mean his penis?
Well, I'm going to go with stinger. You see what you want to see, and that's fine. I'm not judging, but I saw a stinger.
I saw a stinger, but they put the stinger where his penis belongs.
No, they put it in his shoulder. Penises don't belong in the shoulder. Yeah. So Jack finishes off the zombies and then kills Asdrath with the gun. Asdrath is weak. He is powerless without minions, and he just died easier than Sasquatch. He died easier than Bigfoot died. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, there should have been, like, how many bullets and stabs did it take to kill Bigfoot?
Right.
Shots were fired in the Asdrath, and shots were fired in the area, and Asdrath is fainting.
Right. So we're all going to get out of here. We got Jack, Carrie, and Fred ready to go. Set our bomb timer. And Fred is hesitant to leave. Fred is explaining that he's in trouble. He's a problem now, so he's gonna stay and hold on to the bomb and finish himself off. And that's what he does as he's turning into this other creature, which I guess is how Clem became the creature. I guess we can assume that maybe there's some parallel there, because one of the things that Fred shows is that he's growing hair out of his arms very quickly, like an Italian person or a creature from the woods. So ship blows up. Jack and Carrie survive. And then we see them in this weird room in bed. Yeah. And Jack is like, he wakes up in a cold sweat. He can't shake the memories. Carrie says, we should get more help. We need to talk. We can deal with this. We'll go have a picnic. We'll go relax. We'll get your mind off of all this. And zombies start appearing around the bed. And then he wakes up again, and now Carrie's not there, but no one is there. So that's how it ends. And that ending is vague on purpose, I'm sure. But should we believe that Carrie didn't survive, or should we believe that she did survive?
I took this as she did not survive.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that is they make it a point to mention, I think at least twice, that Jack is having trouble letting the memories go. Like they're in his head. He can't stop thinking about his friends. After all, he did bring them there. He's not killing them himself. He is responsible for their deaths.
He put them in the way.
Ultimately, they agreed to help, but he didn't disclose that information before they left. Carrie was the only one that knew.
Right.
So if he's keeping this guilt with him, while I am not a fan of dream sequences for the sake of dream sequences, I think it's actually telling us something and is helping move the story along. Because once we see it's Carrie by herself, then it's all the zombies, and then Carrie turns into a zombie. Jack wakes up the second time, and Carrie's not there. So while it's even worse that it's a dream within a dream, I think they did that to tell us Jack is on his own. Now, whether that means Carrie died or Carrie left him, that I don't know.
All right. I mean, that's fair. We can have a fairly vague ending to an incredibly vague movie, and it would just be the only amount of consistency that they presented to us. But
now, go ahead. I had another question as far as what you thought regarding.
Yeah, we'll stay there.
So we know that Uncle Clem has only been missing for a few weeks, maybe a month. It hasn't been a long time.
Right.
So that means that Bigfoot has been doing all of this killing within that short period of time. And earlier I was complaining that Bigfoot seemed to kind of be everywhere all at once with the three separate, individuals.
Okay.
The two girls, the hiker, and our main group. So now that we know that Bigfoots can be created, is there more than one Bigfoot? Or can there be more than one Bigfoot? Did Uncle Clem kill the last Bigfoot that caused all this? And then he was caught, taken there, and because they knew, he killed Bigfoot, then they were going to turn him into one. So it just seems weird that all of a sudden we just have a Bigfoot in the area now causing all these issues. So, like, who was killing everyone before Uncle Clem was killing everyone?
So, much like any other question that you dare to ask about this movie, this opens up a whole other series of problems. First one, we know Uncle Clem is missing for a month, which means he's been missing for longer than that, right? Because if Uncle Clem is living in the woods by himself, there's at least a 2-week buffer of where he's actually disappeared to when we realize, hey, I haven't heard from Uncle Clem in a while. What's going on over there? Second problem is that Bill was living in Uncle Clem's cabin. So did Bill just move in a month ago and has only been there for 30 days?
Oh, I took it as they rented it out. I think Bill says we
Okay.
rented out the cabin, but I don't know for how long. It could be a month, it could be a weekend, it could be a week.
But they this is a pre-Airbnb sort of situation here. Bill had to show up and meet Uncle Clem to get the keys to the cabin from Uncle Clem. So that means he's just been living there. Clem just flat out gave him the keys and disappeared, and that's it. That's the last time anybody sees Uncle Clem, and he becomes a Bigfoot. Sorry.
And even if we go, he didn't, like, the keys just in a lockbox or something. Bill does basically say, "I know him. I've talked,"
right.
So they've spoken. But they also, I feel like they made it a point when they were, bringing out all their conspiracy files, that Jack is like, there's never been an attack, or never been a sighting this far north before, suggesting something's changed because someone who's local to the area is now causing this. And that would be Uncle Clem. So are there, Bigfoots just everywhere? And it's like, you get your own little territory carved out for you. That's kind of,
Now I got like a Godfather movie where they're defending the 5 territories from each other.
So I almost feel like there has to be multiple creatures all at once spread out through the woods.
Well,
because otherwise it makes no sense.
Well, so I think there's merit to that idea. I think there's also merit to the idea that Bigfoot as a urban legend has existed for much longer than Uncle Clem became Bigfoot. So there's going to be real stories interwoven with the urban legend stories that everybody's going to write off because they're going to think it's all urban legendy. My question is, can the zombies become the Bigfoots? Because then at that point, you can just bring in as many of these zombies as you want, convert them, send them back out like an army. I don't know. I don't have the answers to any of this because they decided not to give us any friggin' lore at all.
Here's how this ecosystem works. we have Asdrath.
Right.
Asdrath was somehow capable of doing something to the priest to make him live forever and look how he did. We don't know how that worked, but that's what happened.
Right.
Asdrath also is capable of turning a human into a Bigfoot by stabbing them with his tentacle.
Right.
Bigfoot is capable of turning humans into zombies by killing them and not ripping their heads off.
I don't agree with that one.
Well, because it seems like every time Bigfoot kills someone, they become a zombie.
Right. 100% it's Bigfoot killing them. I don't believe it's Bigfoot making them zombie.
Right, okay, yeah, that's.
I think that's still Asdrath.
Does the kill, and then they somehow become a zombie.
Right.
Yeah, that I don't. So I don't know whether Asdrath is able to sense things in the area, and control. Once someone's dead, he's able to control them, but not while they're alive.
Right. He can get to their mind once it's expired.
Yeah.
This is ultimately the issue with this movie, is that it's so incomplete that you can run circles around it and create a new legacy for it every time back around. And that's why I appreciated what they did at the end, which was end it. So this is another one of those movies where you want to play survive or kill, but nobody knows that Bigfoot's coming except for Bill.
Yeah.
And so the way you survive is A, when you get to your new place to stay and the door is kicked in and there's blood everywhere, leave. B, when your dead friend disappears, leave. Like, that's how you survive this. And I know there's always got to be a conceit to make a lot of these horror movies work. I get that. I understand that.
Right.
I do. But that conceit needs to be predicated on some level of thoughtfulness and intelligence. They're there, once they find out, they're there to investigate a suspicious, weird murder that they think happened in a haunted area. At that point, any suspicious thing has to be twice as suspicious as it would be under any other circumstances. So the fact that they can't just jump in the car and leave because the car got destroyed, okay, fine, I got it. But that doesn't give you the leeway to ignore these blatantly obvious signs that you are in deep, serious peril if you stay where you are. So, it seems so simple to just say, just leave when you realize there's a killer in the area. Yeah. Leave the area. Okay. But in this case, it's not just that you know that something's going on. It's that it's happening to you in front of your face. It's not even one of those situations where you can just you probably didn't realize what you saw. It was the moon shadows. There's not really a Bigfoot. No, you saw all of this and you hung out. I don't want you to survive. You should not be part of the gene pool anymore.
Dead bodies have left the bedroom you put them in.
Yes.
And,
So let's just cut to the chase here. Did they make the movie they set out to make?
Oddly, I feel like they did, because I don't think they knew what type of movie they wanted to make. So they just made a bunch of them all in one. So I have to think they knew they weren't making anything amazing. I think they knew that if we get George Henderson in this, it'll give us a little credibility, and went, that's good enough, and shot what they shot.
In a way, I think that they made the movie they wanted to make, and in an entirely different way. I don't think they have any idea what they made. I think they sat around and they watched a whole bunch of the greatest horror movies you've ever seen. And they were just like, I think we could make a horror movie like this. And they just threw all of it into one giant pot. It's just one giant gumbo of, there's a dream sequence, there's a monster chasing you, you're stuck in the woods, there's like one little piece of every different kind of horror. There's a little bit of Poltergeist in there. There's a little Friday the 13th. There's a little The Thing.
Oh, even the cabin. The cabin's from one of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah. There's a little bit of everything, because they just thought they could do it too, and they just did not. And that's that.
And actually, I think by the way you phrase that, if I don't say, I would say they didn't make the movie they set out to make. They made the movie they thought of making.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like they had this is what we're going to do. Exactly what you said is what I was thinking, as far as they saw a bunch of stuff and went, yeah, we can do this. And then they went out and did it. So yeah, that's kind of where my head was with this.
This was the equivalent of us going to a bar in the 1980s and seeing a cover band that was doing all the classics from the 80s, but just not nearly as good as the originals. Like, that's what this was. Now we're going to do a song from Cinderella, and now we're going to do a song from Motley Crue. And like, okay, I've heard these songs before. They didn't quite look like this, but all right.
I'm here, I guess.
They give me beer at least. All right. So how do you fix this one?
I think we fix this by fixing Jack.
Okay.
The first thing I would do is I'm going to get rid of Bill and Julie. And I briefly mentioned a moment ago, George Robinson was the get in this movie, and I don't have a problem with him. It's why everyone's there that I have a problem with. So we're not going to make Bill a father of a missing child that just suffered an attack. We're either going to make him a park ranger or the local sheriff. So instead of having Jack lie to his friends and get them there, Jack, he's going to be out with his friends, and he's going to get a call from Bill saying that there was an accident at his Uncle Clem's cabin and they haven't been able to get a hold of him. So, like Jack said, he used to go up there as a kid. So, he knows who Bill is. Um, Bill needs Jack to come down, secure the place, answer a few questions about his uncle, so they can try to help find him and sort out what's happened here. He also tells him the scene is too gruesome, so it's best he doesn't bring anybody, that doesn't have a strong, because if you don't have a strong stomach, you're not going to be able to handle this.
Right.
Jack's with his friends when he gets the call. Jack insists upon going alone, but his friend, sort of like the Mutilator, where like all his friends are like, "Yeah, we're coming with you," type of thing. So they're there by their own choice because they want to help their friend who's going through something, with his missing uncle. When they get there, they find out it was a family of 5 in the cabin that was renting it for the week. And just like before, there's going to be some blood and debris inside, and it doesn't appear as if anyone survived by what we can look at. One thing that we are going to find, since this was made in the 80s, there's going to be some Polaroids that was taken by the family in the house. So it's just a bunch of poses so we can see what they look like. Bill is kind of upset that, Jack's friends tagged along. He warns him how dangerous it is, and they should all leave once he's done talking to Jack. But, Jack's like, "Nope, we're staying here. I want to find my uncle." So later, when staying in the house, they discover all these files, just like they brought out the files that Jack was working on, but they're going to be his uncle's. And they start going through them, trying to figure out what all of this means. Tom steps outside. He's going to smoke some weed. And when he does, he hears some noises. Sounds like younger kids, like, just making some noises or anything along those lines. Looks over and he sees the kids that he saw in the Polaroid acting sort of like zombies, walking away. He yells out, rubs his eyes, blinks, and they're gone. He goes inside to say, "Guys, I saw the kids. They go outside like, there's nobody here. What were you even doing out here in the first place?" They see he was smoking and go, "Oh, okay, that's why. Get back." So it's got to be that thing where we see danger, but of course nobody can believe that it's actually happening. So now we get a sense that, okay, they haven't been killed, but they're not quite alive in the way, something is weird. After all this, I'm going to pick a lane. Is this a Bigfoot movie? Is this an alien movie, a zombie movie? What type of movie are we going to shoot from this point? We can keep the aliens and we can keep the zombies, but then Bigfoot has to go. Or we can just keep Bigfoot. I don't think we can keep everyone and make any sense out of it. Because it makes sense. It makes zero sense to me if an alien stabs you, you become a Bigfoot, and then if a Bigfoot kills you, you then turn into a zombie. And even though Bigfoot's not the one turning him into the zombies, they still are. So I'm just going to pick a lane, and however people die is going to stay consistent throughout the rest of the movie.
That works for me. I mean, that makes the movie 1,000 times better.
Right, I think it provides motivation for everyone to be there and motivation for their actions.
My problem here, and I take this part of the show very seriously, but my problem with this movie, because it's such a bouillabaisse of 8,000 other movies, is that every time I try to back some things out of it to pick a lane, like you said, which is the most important thing that this movie needs to do, it just either winds up being Berserker or Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And yeah. I can't divert from cleaning it up so much that it's just one of those movies. Like if we go the Bigfoot way, and then maybe Bill was the Bigfoot all along, and that's Berserker. That's Berserker. Yeah. Or if we get into the alien ship crashed and it put out some pods and the pods took over the people, and then that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And so I can't confidently clean up this movie to make another movie unless it's okay that movie is also just a ripoff of another horror movie. And I'd rather not do that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So with that, I mean that's our bloody take on this here movie. If you have a take on this movie, if you've suffered through this movie like we have, come and trauma bond with us. You can find us on all the socials: Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. It's One Bloody Take, all one word. If you want to talk to us on TikTok, it's _bloody_take. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Substack, really anywhere you get your podcast. Just search out One Bloody Take. We put out a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week when we discuss 2026's They Will Kill You. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to our Bloody Take.